Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. Welcome to our program tonight. We're going to not do our normal program like we've attempted to in the past by having the Pledge of Allegiance and the United States National Anthem. We will do that again within the next few days. We are going to get right into earthquakes and what is going on around us. We have had a lot of earthquakes worldwide today. We've had a group of earthquakes down in Taiwan. Earlier today, I was concerned that the earthquakes were happening, but I'm even more concerned now. The earthquakes that hit during the weekend, most of those earthquakes were offshore from Taiwan, a good majority of them. Since that has happened, we've had a great deal of earthquakes hit Taiwan today. I want to show you something that hit at 2:32 p.m. today. This is a 6.0 magnitude earthquake. 6.2 magnitude earthquake today. This earthquake hit at 2:32 p.m. Eastern Time. This was 6.2 miles deep. 6.2 miles deep. It was not the only earthquake that hit. Another earthquake hit about 30 miles south of there, also in Taiwan. This is a 5.2 earthquake. A 5.2 earthquake. So far in the last 24 hours, we've had 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 large earthquakes. We've had 13 large earthquakes hit around Taiwan. Some of those large earthquakes were on shore. By large earthquakes, I'm saying 6.0, 6.2. I'm including those as large. Those 6.0 and 6.2 earthquakes were very strong earthquakes. 6.0, 6.9 earthquakes, very strong earthquakes. That's where 2 of those were. All the other 10 earthquakes that hit around Taiwan in the last 24 hours were large earthquakes. 5.0 to 5.9 earthquakes. Okay? I'm going to go through the list of large and very strong earthquakes. I'm going to start down here on the southern part of the Pacific Ocean on the eastern side of Taiwan. We had a 5.5 earthquake, a 5.0 earthquake. We've had a 5.3 earthquake, a 5.0 earthquake. We've had a 6.1 earthquake also offshore. 6.1 earthquake offshore from Taiwan. Just south of there is a 5.6 large earthquake right there. Let's continue going north with these large earthquakes. Closer to shore, a 5.1 and a 5.3. Right along the shoreline, we have a 5.2 earthquake right there. We're going north. A 5.4 earthquake just off the northeast coast. 5.4 earthquake here. Now, one other earthquake further offshore. This is a 5.2 earthquake. The other earthquakes you see here in red, okay? The other earthquakes that you see here in red are all 4.0 earthquakes. 4.0 to 4.9 earthquakes. Those earthquakes are considered and should be considered to be moderate earthquakes. Regardless of what the USGS wants to say, I consider them moderate earthquakes. Moderate earthquakes can cause moderate damage. Moderate earthquakes cause moderate damage regardless of what USGS has to say. I want to make that perfectly clear. The United States Geological Survey and several other agencies changed the description of earthquakes from large to moderate, from moderate to light. There is nothing light about a 4.0 to 4.9 earthquake. Nothing light at all. Those earthquakes can cause a lot of damage, from just knocking pictures or other things off of walls. They can cause plates to fall out of cupboards, knickknacks and plates to fall off shelves. They can cause substantial damage. 5.0 earthquakes, they change to moderate earthquakes, they are full of crap. These 5.0 to 5.9 earthquakes can cause death and serious injury, as well as major damage. I want to make that point perfectly clear. 5.0 to 5.9 earthquakes can cause very serious injury and death. They can also cause major damage. Okay, I've been in 5.0 or 5.9 earthquakes before. I know what I'm talking about. We need to be very wary with what USGS is telling us. Okay, I've told you that before, but I'm very serious about it because they do not want us to know what's going on. Right here, these are all of the earthquakes that hit here over on and off Taiwan today. A great majority of the very large earthquakes hit off Taiwan. Most of them hit off the ocean side, east side of Taiwan. The earthquakes that hit in the water tended to temperate the earthquakes, meaning reduce the efficacy of seismic waves. They reduce the efficacy of seismic waves, meaning they reduce the amount of damage that those waves could cause. The water absorbs the seismic energy. The water will absorb the seismic energy. If those things are very near shore, that's a different story. Then they'll absorb some amount of that seismic energy, but not all of it. That is what happened here in Taiwan today. Earlier, I was answering a thread over on Messenger where someone was very concerned about all the earthquakes in Taiwan. I mentioned that most of those earthquakes were offshore. I was absolutely correct in stating that. But they also changed other locations of the earthquakes this afternoon. They also had several other earthquakes that were large, very strong earthquakes on land. USGS and the EMSC changed the location of some of those earthquakes. However, we also had quite a few earthquakes this afternoon. That is why we see some of those earthquakes hitting land. These earthquakes hitting land can do a lot of damage. I want to make sure everybody understands that. Okay? Why am I saying that? Because, folks, what is going on? What do you really think is going on? Those earthquakes are causing damage, regardless of what the agencies say. We must remember what is going on here. We must remember what is going on and why. Demon Catman is one of our mods here on this program today. He's on this program today. We have other mods that haven't gotten here yet, and I'm sorry about that, Demon Catman. I hope they join us. Demon Catman says that this channel is about emergencies and emergency management. This is about emergencies and emergency management. Why? We want to make sure that people are prepared for these earthquakes and disasters. That is of the utmost importance here on this channel. I don't really give a flying rat's frosty keister what some of these other channels do. I want to make sure that we keep on the ball, that we have our sights focused on the real answers of what's happening, because we are indeed trying to save lives here. Other channels may just say, oh, we had this earthquake. Oh, we may have had that earthquake. But they don't put two and two together and talk about what is actually happening on the ground. They don't put two and two together to point out that people are getting injured and seriously killed. Seriously. Buried up to their ears in debris. Dying out there in the debris that's falling on them. We saw that happen in Turkey just last year. A year ago this past January, Turkey had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake. They're still having aftershocks today. They're still having a great deal of aftershocks today. Let's go over to Turkey for just a minute. I want to show you what's happened here. Okay? Look at all the earthquakes here in Turkey today. Let me get my pointer here. Look at all these earthquakes here. Up and down here. There are 68 earthquakes here. 68 earthquakes in this area. Why are they here? Because, folks, a year ago this past January, we had a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake hit this area. Very serious. Every one of these earthquakes here today are aftershocks. They are aftershocks of a very dangerous, very deadly earthquake here last year. We're going to continue to see aftershocks for probably 3 to 4 or 5 years more. That's what happens. As the earth tries to settle back the way it was before the major quake happened, it causes aftershocks. As the ground settles, it causes aftershocks. That's what's going on here. We've seen it happen literally around the world. Wherever we've seen major earthquakes happen, it takes a long time for that ground to settle in there. Now, I want to go over also to another location. Another location that we reported on after a major earthquake happened. I want to show you what's happened. Okay? Right down here in southwestern Puerto Rico. Right over here in southwestern Puerto Rico. 4 years ago, nearly 4.5 years ago, that area of southwestern Puerto Rico had two 8.0 and 8.4 earthquakes. They had two 8.0 and 8.4 earthquakes. One, the 8.0 happened on December 26, 2019. The second 8.0 and larger earthquake happened on December 28th. December 28th. They were man-made. Those earthquakes were man-made. How did that happen? People ask me all the time, can earthquakes be man-made? Yes, they can. They absolutely can. Now, I want to show you something. How can they happen? And right here is the proof that those earthquakes can still cause aftershocks 4 years later. Okay? 4 years later. I want to show you something now. Do not put this name in the chat. Please, no one, absolutely no one needs to use this name in the chat. Right here. This agency activated their transmitters in Norway, in Russia, and in northwestern Australia. They triangulated Puerto Rico. That agency triangulated Puerto Rico. And what happened? The first day, like I said, December 26, 2019, they caused an 8.0 earthquake. The second day, they activated it again, and triangulated Puerto Rico again. This time, an 8.4 earthquake happened. Today, there are 5 earthquakes, possibly even be 6, over here in southwestern Puerto Rico. This is a 2.5 near Guanica, Puerto Rico there today. A 2.5 earthquake. Right next to it, we have a 2.7. 2.7. Just north of there, 2 more earthquakes. One is a 1.96 and the other is a 2.6 there. 1.96 and 2.6. Just over to the east from there. Maria Antonia, Puerto Rico. This is a 2.3 earthquake. A 2.3 earthquake. All 6 of these earthquakes happened as a result of those agencies in those countries activating those transmitters. Activating those transmitters. They would not have happened had those transmitters not been activated. I can prove it. I proved it today. I proved it in days past. Folks, it's dangerous. It's very extremely dangerous. When they activate those transmitters, bad things happen. Okay? Bad things happen. And they continue to happen. Now I'm seeing over here on my monitor here that they have stopped me from talking. Does everyone here, or is everyone here able to hear my voice? Is everyone here able to hear my voice? I hope you can. Folks, this is real. This is very real. Now, I do not believe they're finished doing this kind of nonsense. They activate their transmitters all the time. They're also into weather modification. They're very much into weather modification. Why do we know this? Look at the storms we've continued to have over the past 3 years. Even before 3 years ago, there was weather modification being used. It's gotten more dangerous over the past 3 years. More dangerous hurricanes. More dangerous hurricanes, and if you didn't already know, this year, we are probably going to see a Category 6 hurricane. Up until this past year, the categories 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 were used to classify the strengths of the hurricanes. This year, they have authorized the creation of a Category 6 hurricane, a very powerful hurricane. Last year, we saw a hurricane above and beyond anything we've ever seen. We've seen cyclones around the world. Down in Antarctica, we've seen cyclones off the coast of Australia. We've seen cyclones off the coast of New Zealand. We've seen cyclones over in China, over in India, over in the Mariana Islands, in Guam, in Japan. Very dangerous winds, very dangerous storms. Last year was the first time we saw a storm get above and beyond anything that we've ever seen before. And as a result, the National Weather Service in cooperation with other governments around the world have now come up with a classification, a Category 6 storm. 186 mile per hour winds, 186 mile per hour continued winds, not just sporadic, but continued winds blowing. 186 plus miles per hour. We believe we're going to see that this year because the elites of our world have been playing with our weather modification. We're seeing earthquakes like we've never seen earthquakes before. This bunch of earthquakes down the way I just showed you over in Taiwan in the southwestern Pacific is probably one of the biggest telltale signs that these governments that are doing this are playing with our lives. They are playing with our lives, ladies and gentlemen, and they don't care. They don't care. I have never ever, in all the days that I've been working in the field of geology, working in the field of saving lives, I have never seen so many 5 and 6 earthquakes in such a small area as I just showed you a few minutes ago. Never happened. Never happened until today. I believe it's going to continue. And as a result, each and every one of us must prepare for what we're going to see. Each and every one of us must prepare for what is going to happen. Because these people don't care. These people in charge of our world don't give a flying rat's frosty keister what is going on. I know that for a fact. I've seen it. I've seen it, and I believe you've seen it as well. I have never seen this kind of seismic energy in any one place at any one point in time in our world. Not over in Turkey and not over in Taiwan. Not ever. Not ever. But as you can see, there are over 60 earthquakes over in Taiwan today. I believe the total is 65 earthquakes in Taiwan today. I don't think we've seen it before, except in Turkey. In Turkey. There were so many earthquakes that hit Turkey just a year ago. Just a year ago. You could not hardly see any landmass over here. The only thing you were seeing are all of these earthquake signatures here. All of these earthquake ovals you were seeing. Why? Because there were that many earthquakes. At one point in time, there were 3,000 earthquakes right in this area alone. Last year, over 3,000 earthquakes right in just this area alone. That area saw over 7,000 earthquakes in a 6-month period. 7,000 earthquakes in a 7-month period, or 3-month period, I'm sorry. 3-month period. And they're still seeing these earthquakes today. 50, 60, 70, 80 earthquakes a day here in Turkey. What else happened? We talked about other things happening there. After that 9.0, 10.0 earthquake hit, what else happened? A great big huge fissure opened up in the earth. 14 miles long. It was deep enough to stand an 8-story building in the bottom of it, and it would just barely come to the top of the ground there. A 14-mile long fissure opened up in the earth that could fit an 8-story building in it. Incredible. Incredible. And they think nothing about it. They literally think nothing about it. I want to show you something. See all these earthquakes over here in Western Turkey? There are 65 earthquakes here in Western Turkey here. 65 earthquakes here. I've never seen that happen either. I've never seen that happen. Yes, we have earthquakes off the western coast of Turkey here. These earthquakes off the western coast are near islands called the Doukhanies Islands. The Doukhanies Islands here belong to Greece. There are 18 earthquakes here along the west coast of Turkey here. Okay? Incredible. Incredible. Yes, I have seen that before. Because we had another very large earthquake hit Western Turkey. And we've seen those kind of earthquakes before. However, I want to show you something else. Look what has hit mainland Greece today. Mainland Greece. We have earthquakes here in the Doukhanies Islands. The islands belonging to Greece. So all of these earthquakes here offshore of Turkey belong to Greece. 63 earthquakes hit Greece today. 63 earthquakes hit Greece today. USGS shows 0. The United States Geological Survey shows 0. Nothing. Nothing. What's going on? The agencies don't want us to see what is happening. My dear friend Demon Catman, who's our mod here tonight, looks like he's only going to be the only one here. He made a statement here in the chat. He said, according to Lucy Jones, they can't fit all the earthquakes on the map. In On July 3rd, in Ridgecrest, California, we saw 2 6.9 earthquakes hit Ridgecrest on July 3rd. 2 6.9s. 2 6.9 earthquakes with 2 separate and distinct locations. 2 separate and distinct locations. What happened? USGS took one of them completely down. And they downgraded the other from 6.9 to 6.4. What a crock of crap. What a crock of crap. What happened the next day? July 4th, 2019. Ridgecrest, California had a 7.1 earthquake. A 7.1 earthquake. The United States Geological Survey called a press conference. Miss Lucy Jones, who at the time was still working for the USGS, now she doesn't. She works for a theater company in Los Angeles, putting on musicals and opera presentations. At the time in 2019, July 4, 2019, a reporter asked Lucy Jones why they were not showing all the earthquakes on the map. Lucy Jones did not even stop to think about her answer. She said, quote, "There was not enough room on the map to fit all the earthquakes." Bullcrap. That is actually one of the biggest lies I've ever heard her say. Yes, I have heard Lucy Jones tell us bald-faced, bare-faced lies. That was the biggest one. There were over 7,000 earthquakes. There were over 7,000 earthquakes, and I'm going to show you this area that I'm talking about. There were over 7,000 earthquakes here in the Ridgecrest area. Here in the Ridgecrest area right here. 7,000 earthquakes encompassing all this area to the north, and not just that. All this area down south as well. 7,000 earthquakes here. And Lucy Jones said that the agency did not have the room to show all the earthquakes. I call BS. I call BS. There were earthquakes all the way up here. All the way up here to the north. In the Mojave Desert. In the Mojave Desert, guys. There was plenty of room to show all those quakes. USMD is saying we're buffering. We're getting buffered. I'm not seeing it right now, but it doesn't surprise me. That really does not surprise me at all. Anatolian is in the chat tonight. Anatolian said nobody was giving any information prior to that fatal quake. Nobody. Nobody. I am the only channel on YouTube that was talking about it. I was the only channel on YouTube talking about it. Nobody else was doing it. Nobody. When the two 6.9 earthquakes happened, I was on the air for 3 hours talking about those quakes. I covered Lucy Jones' speech. I made sure it made my air because it's very important we show you what's happening. And I don't have a problem personally with reporting what that agency says, because I can point out their fallacies. I can point out their lies, and I have. I have pointed out their lies in the past, and I will continue to do it. Now, yeah, I get a little bit worked up, because these agencies, and I'm going to even say Miss Lucy Jones, does not care about the American people. Lucy Jones doesn't care about anybody but Lucy Jones. She doesn't. If she did, they would not be doing what they're doing today. Not reporting earthquakes, not reporting what's going on around the globe, not reporting even everything that's going on here in the United States. They're not doing it. Why not? Why are they not doing it? Because they don't believe they have to do it. They don't believe they have to do it. I have real issues with that. I have real issues. I have real issues. I believe the public on a worldwide basis, I believe the public in the United States has a reason to hear the truth. News agencies, including the government agencies, are mandated by law to put out the information. They are mandated by law to do it. So if they're not doing it, what is the reason? What is the reason? I pointed this out many times before. The politicians that we have in power are telling the agencies not to report everything that's going on. Why? Why are the agencies doing that? Because if the agencies were actually telling the truth, the politicians would be out of work. The local, state, and federal politicians would be out of work. Why? If what was going on was told, people would move away from where all these earthquakes are occurring. People would get out of Dodge so they would not get hurt. Remnant Truth says control. You're absolutely right. Control. They want to make sure the people stay put in place where they live right now, to keep the politicians employed. As long as there are people living there, the people living there are paying taxes, aren't they? The people living there are patronizing the stores and other such businesses in the area. And those businesses are also paying taxes. If you take the consumer out of the situation, if you take the consumer out of the situation, what happens? The people find out what's really going on and they move out of the area. I've seen it happen. Because once I tell everybody what's going on, I have seen people leave the area. That's exactly what the politicians don't want. They want the people to stay there, to continue to pay taxes, to keep the lights on in the local government, making sure people still have a government to come to tell their problems to make sure they get social services. What happens when the agency would actually tell the truth? People would move away, wouldn't they? If people move away, nobody's there to keep the stores in business. Nobody's in there to pay taxes. The stores close down. They don't pay taxes either. How do the streets stay paved? How do the streets still stay paved? How are the stoplights staying on if the people leave the area? That is exactly what we're talking about, guys. That is exactly what we're talking about. These agencies don't want anybody to do anything. Stay there. Stay there. Put up with nobody there. We are all being controlled. We are all being controlled. Each and every one of us are being controlled. It's amazing. It's amazing. There is a city in Washington State. There's a city in Washington State. Those people in that state, in that city in Washington, it's called Ocean Shores, Washington. Marf went into that town one evening. He spoke to firefighters. Marf went and spoke to the police and sheriffs in that area. He spoke to a few other people there. He asked them all the same question. Are you aware that there is going to be a major earthquake that's going to hit up and down the coast of your state? that could hurt your city as well and probably will devastate your city? No one in Ocean Shores, Washington was aware of that possibility. No one there that he spoke to had even heard of the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. Nobody. That is exactly what we're talking about here. That is exactly what we're talking about here. The agency doesn't want that information to get out. And as a result, what else have the politicians done? They have gone to the upper management of USBS and the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network over there in Washington and Oregon and Northern California. They've gone to those agencies and told them, don't talk to anybody. Don't tell everybody what's going on. The upper managers are telling the other people within the agency, don't let anybody know what's going on. The earthquakes are not being reported. As I reported to you last week, I showed you seismograms. Seismograms are the graph that the machine, the seismograph, puts out. The seismograph puts out these seismograms every day. But you don't see the earthquakes on the earthquake map. Heaven forbid that we know the truth. Heaven forbid we're being told the truth. Brokefish, one of my dear friends, is also mod on this channel. He's in their chat today, right now. He says when he lived along the coastline of Oregon, he says the information was being told to everyone. It's not happening now, and Brokefish can tell you that. Brokefish and I have discussed this very thing over the years. It's incredible what they say and what they don't say. And I'm not the only one that's telling everybody this. All of you are helping me spread this message. This message must needs be to go out in order to save people's lives, your family's lives, your friends' lives, and everyone else as well. As I have stated before, my main thrust with this program is put the information out in front of all of you to make sure you know what's going on. And also to tell you this, to tell you and ask you all to share this information very wide, literally all over the world. Make sure this message gets out everywhere, because people's lives hang in the balance. If we don't tell people what's going on, nobody will. Nobody will. There is a man who I very much look up to. He wrote a book about Apollo 13. He was the Apollo mission director. He wrote a book called Failure is Not an Option. And actually, he wrote 2 books about failure not being an option. That is what we're talking about now. We see failure sticking it up our nose. We see failure right in front of us. We see it in the failure of our government. We see the failure of everything going on around us, and nobody telling us about it. Every day. Every cotton picking day. Heaven forbid we know what's going on. They don't want to tell us. They don't want to tell us. That's a sad thing. If we are not told what's going on, we're going to die. Our family members are going to die. Our children, our children's children are going to die because they were not told what is happening. Many of these people, many of our family members don't know. It's because we have not also spread the message. All I'm asking you to do is to share this message. To share what we're showing you. That way, nobody has a reason to doubt anything because you've got it in front of you. That's why I took my time showing you all the earthquakes in Taiwan. That's why I took my time showing you the earthquakes in Turkey. That's why I took my time showing you the earthquakes in Greece. And that's not the only thing that's going on. I'm going to tell you right now, that is not everything going on. Because the agencies don't give a flying rat's butt. They don't. That's a problem here. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Richard Smith, who lives up in Eastern Canada, Nova Scotia, Canada, is here in the chat. We're living in scary times, Richard said. And I agree. We are living in very tempestuous times. Tempestuous times, I'm sorry. Nobody wants us to know anything. Nobody wants us to know. I'm giving you this information because I want you to know. I absolutely want you to know. Now, this is not the only earthquakes that I want to show you tonight. There are many other earthquakes that I want to show you. Okay? Look at all these earthquakes in the Mojave Desert. They stretch from over here in the north at Lone Pine, California, all the way down here to Ridgecrest. Now, there are earthquakes here. Granted, there are earthquakes here. These earthquakes are small and minor tremors. Small tremors and minor earthquakes. Ridgecrest down here. This is a 1.15 tremor here. Ridgecrest, California. This is a 0.66 microquake here in Searles Valley, California. Searles Valley, California. Further to the west, Inyokern, California. This is a 1.27 tremor here. 1.27 tremor in Inyokern, California. Going north, Little Lake, California. 0.11. Minus 0.05. Minus 0.05. Why do they have minus numbers here? Because, folks, minus 0.05 or any minus number reflects that event, that seismic event, happened above sea level. Above sea level. Little Lake, California. We go further out to the northeast. Again, Searles Valley. 0.31 here, a microquake. Okay? We go back down here into the Mojave Desert here. Okay? 1.09, Little Lake, California. Kozo Junction. Kozo Junction, right here. This is a 1.89 tremor. 1.89 tremor here. That would equate to a 2.0 minor earthquake. 2.0 minor earthquake. Kozo Volcanic Field here. What do we know about Kozo Volcanic Field? Kozo Volcanic Field, guys, is where there's a huge volcanic field. Cones and craters all over the area. Cones and craters everywhere. But what do we know about it? What do we know about it? Here you see a bunch of craters and cones here in the Kozo Volcanic Field. The Kozo Volcanic Field, ladies and gentlemen, is more than that. Men and women throughout the last 40 years have labored over here in the Kozo Volcanic Field. They've drilled mightily into the upper magma chambers of the Kozo volcano to obtain steam, to power turbines to generate electricity over here in the Kozo Volcanic Field. There's something else that you need to hear, and I spoke of this last week as well. They're generating electricity here. It's also called Devil's Kitchen because it is so extremely hot here. It's not just because it's hot with our weather, hot and dry because of the weather in that area. Folks, all that steam, all the volcanoes are steaming over there. Every one of the craters and cones in that area are steaming. Meaning there's a possibility, even though steaming doesn't mean that that volcano is going to erupt. But we're seeing those earthquakes, aren't we? We're seeing earthquakes over in the Kozo Volcanic Field. It's called Devil's Kitchen because that area is so freaking hot. 125 degrees in the shade is what a gas station attendant told me when I last visited there a bunch of years ago. 125 degrees in the shade. My gosh, guys, that was hot. That particular day, I went over there to get gas on the way to see my cousins in Utah. I was driving from San Diego to Utah to see my cousins. And they told me it was 125 degrees in the shade at that service station where I bought gas. And Anatolian is asking us in the chat, how are we going to know when they won't tell us the truth? You're going to know because I'm sharing the truth. I actively pursue the truth on this channel before I even get on the air. I make sure all of you know what's happening. I make sure all of you know what's happening because I want to know myself, and you all also deserve to know. Jordan Rayner, you need to make sure you're paying attention to what I am saying. Christmas has nothing to do with this chat. If you can't speak the truth of what we're talking about, if you don't know what you're talking about, if you're not paying attention to me, you don't belong in this chat. You need to pay attention to what we're talking about. I'm not talking about Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. Yes, those are important dates, but we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the Kozo volcano. I want you to be very much aware of what's happening. Number one, you deserve it. Number two, what I am telling you could save your lives. What we're talking about could save your lives. And to me, that is my ultimate responsibility here. I want you to know that we're here for you. Yeah, Demon Catman says that person may have been a bot. You're right. You're absolutely right. We get a lot of bots here. I shake my head. I literally shake my head. This is some of the craziest things I've ever seen here. Again, Anatolians was asking, how are we going to know what's going on? Because I am going to tell you what's going on. You need to subscribe to this channel, guys. You need to subscribe to this channel. When you subscribe, you need to also click on that little bell icon. Next to the subscription bell in a little tiny circle is a bell. Click on that little bell. When you do it, a drop-down menu of 3 items is going to pop up. Click on the word ALL, all. That way you're going to know that you are asking to be notified by YouTube when we come on the air. But be advised, YouTube is in bed with the government. YouTube doesn't always tell us what's going on. They don't tell me when my friends come on the air. They don't tell my friends when other people are coming on the air. Why? Because YouTube doesn't want anybody to know what's happening. YouTube is as bad as the politicians. YouTube is a corrupt company. YouTube reports to the government. The government also tells YouTube, oh, you need to make sure you censor this person. You need to censor anybody's speech that doesn't go along with the Democrat narrative. If there's any conservative speech anywhere, YouTube will make sure it gets censored because the government tells them to do it. The president of YouTube appeared before the United States Senate about a year or so ago. U.S. senators asked YouTube what was going on because the senators had got many complaints about YouTube and what was happening. Of course, YouTube denied it. YouTube absolutely denied it. But did you know that the senators had proof positive about what YouTube was doing and not doing? YouTube got his hand slapped. They got a fine. But they don't care. Because other senators have padded YouTube's pockets to make sure that YouTube is doing what they tell them to do. That's the truth. That's the truth. My dear friend Missouri Boat Ride is here. I want to thank you for being here. He said, make sure and check if you're still subscribed. YouTube has unsubscribed me a zillion times from this channel. I check it all the time. Thank you, Missouri Boat Ride. I appreciate that. You guys all need to pay attention to your subscriptions. Typically, YouTube has unsubscribed about 100 people as of late. We found that out earlier today. YouTube has unsubscribed about 100 people from the Emergency Management Associates program. We caught them. We caught them. There is a document that we found where they admit unsubscribing people here from this channel. They admit it. They showed it. They showed the information. It's public record. If you're not already subscribed to this channel, please do that. Like I said, when you subscribe to this channel, also click on that little bell button. When that drop-down menu comes up in front of you, click on the word ALL, all, to make sure you get notified when we come on the air. You need to check your subscription at least once a week, maybe even more. My dear friend Don Patoka, who's one of the mods here on this chat, he gets unsubscribed from this channel every other day. And he has to resubscribe and also to re-hit that little bell icon to get notified when we come on the air. Sad. Sad. Sweet Polly Purebreds here in the chat says they've also unsubscribed her. Brokefish says he hits it daily. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anyway, guys, this is going on. There's something else I need to talk to you about. There are approximately 45 volcanoes worldwide that are erupting right now. Ruang volcano over there in Indonesia is still erupting up to 60,000 feet high. Ruang volcano in Indonesia is still erupting up to 60,000 feet high, up into the asthenosphere, which means all that ash and toxic gas is going around the world. That ash and toxic gas are going to way up into the stratosphere and the atmosphere. The jet stream takes over up there. The jet stream takes all that ash, all that sulfur dioxide, all of the carbon dioxide gases, and literally throws it around the world. The toxic gases aren't necessarily toxic once it gets up that high, because it's far enough up into the atmosphere, number one, and number two, it's literally being spread around the world. So the gases are not really a problem. However, guess what is? Guess what's a problem? It's the ash. It's the volcanic ash that gets thrown up to 60,000 feet high. And then the jet stream takes that ash and throws it around the globe. Jetliners. Commercial jetliners can't function in ash. It will bring a jetliner down. Jetliners typically go up to about 35,000 feet, typically. But there are also volcanoes that are throwing ash clouds up that high. The Federal Aviation Administration and worldwide governments tell these planes, they monitor where the ash is, and they tell the planes to stay out of that area. Ruang volcano is not the only one that's been erupting. Down in the Sicily, Italy area, we have two other volcanoes there. Mount Etna and Stromboli are erupting up to 30,000 feet. Up to 30,000 feet high. Krakatau, down in Indonesia, has also been erupting. Dukono volcano has also been erupting. 5 other volcanoes in Indonesia are erupting. They're not the only ones. A total of 45 volcanoes are erupting presently somewhere around the world. 45. They're all putting gas, toxic gas, and ash up into the atmosphere. Something else that you all need to know about. If you have ever been around a volcano, and now I'm talking specifically to those people in Italy, I'm talking specifically to those people over in Indonesia, I'm talking to the people over in Japan, and I'm talking to the people in Hawaii. If your volcanoes are erupting, you need to very well know that those volcanoes can also put up very dangerous Pele's hair. Pele's hair. When the volcano erupts, it erupts and that ash rapidly cools once it hits the atmosphere. As that cooling process takes place, that cooling produces what they call Pele's hair. Tiny shards of glass. Tiny, tiny pieces of glass and shards of glass, long shards of glass, are produced when that ash goes up into the atmosphere. It cools. That volcanic ash cools and produces Pele's hair. If Pele's hair gets on your skin, it can rip holes in your skin. If Pele's hair gets in your nostrils, down in your windpipe or down into your lungs, it can cause all kinds of problems and you could die. If you're anywhere near a volcano, you need to be wearing something over your face to make sure you don't inhale the ash, the toxic gases, and or Pele's hair. You also need to wear goggles over your eyes to protect your eyes from getting anything in them. This is mandatory. You really need to know that. Aubrey is saying, like angel hair, yes. Thin little shards of glass. That's why they call it Pele's hair. Sometimes you can't hardly see it until it's already gotten on you. If you have a volcano that's presently erupting, you need to be wearing long sleeve shirts to protect your arms and your skin. You need to be wearing something over your face so you do not inhale any of that stuff through your mouth or your nose. Like I said, you need to be wearing goggles as well to protect you. Also, hats might not be a bad idea. And when you come in, when you get through working outside, make sure you take a shower. Don't rub all that stuff onto your arm, into your arms. Don't rub your arms, your hands, and your face. Wash it off. Let the water pour that stuff down the drain. Don't rub on your arms. That could cause that Pele's hair to rub on your skin and tear your skin up. Don't do it. Please don't do that. Diane Kelman's here in the chat saying she's seen people very close to lava flows. I have too. And when I've seen it, I just, oh geez, don't they have a life? When the volcano first started erupting over in the southern part of Iceland, the Reykjanes Peninsula, the very southernmost part of the Reykjanes Peninsula, people were hiking 2 hours to get in to see the lava flow. They were hiking 2 hours to see the volcano erupt. And I saw people not more than 10 feet away from the lava flow. That lava's 1,100, 1,500, 2,000 degrees hot. If they got burned, they would be killed. We've seen it happen before. Don Kelman says on TV, Ron, yes. I've seen it on TV. You've seen it on TV. It's happened. It's happened. Folks, this is urgent. Please pay attention to what we're saying. Don't do it. Stay away from lava flows. Stay away from erupting volcanoes. Stay away. Richard Smith says he worries a lot about the Nova Scotia area in Canada. It may go up again. Yes, it could. It absolutely could. Someone sent a message to me earlier this morning. They were concerned that there is a volcano over in Massachusetts. There most assuredly is. The volcano in Massachusetts was not even known until 2 years ago. 2 years ago, we had an earthquake in Massachusetts, in the Boston area. Scientists that Sunday started looking for the epicenter of the quake. They thought they knew it. When the scientists went out into the area of Boston where the epicenter was, do you know what happened? The scientists saw evidence of basaltic lava. They found the volcano. There most assuredly is a volcano in Boston, and they now believe it may even be a supervolcano. Okay? What do you think is happening in New Jersey today? Even today. 2 weeks ago, we had what USBS said was a 4.5 moderate earthquake. At the time, they said it was a 4.5 light earthquake. I immediately started researching how strong that quake was. I showed you how strong that earthquake was. That earthquake was not a 4.5 earthquake. That earthquake was a very large 5.9, 6.0 earthquake, and I show you the documentation to prove it.
Location, Taiwan, class light, magnitude 4.6, 13 minutes ago.
They're still having these 4.6, 4.0 earthquakes over there in Taiwan. Those earthquakes again in Taiwan are aftershocks of an 8.4 earthquake that hit there 2 months ago. Even though we saw 6.0, 6.2 earthquakes today over in Taiwan, those are all aftershocks of an 8.4 earthquake that they had there 2 weeks ago. It's still going on. It hasn't stopped. It hasn't stopped. The same thing is going on in New Jersey. Today in New Jersey, there was another 1.7 tremor. They say it was only 1.7 tremor. I have a feeling, no, I have not even checked, but I have a feeling that there's more than just that. Why? Because, folks, that earthquake in New Jersey was a 5.9, 6.0 earthquake, regardless of what USBS lied about. They absolutely lied about it. We would not still be seeing aftershocks of a 4.6 earthquake if it was indeed that. It was a 5.9 very large earthquake, possibly even being a 6.0. I define it as a 5.9. I found all the documentation to prove it. And they're still getting hit. Just like Taiwan is still getting hit. Just like Turkey is getting hit today. Earthquakes. Earthquakes that are stronger than the BS agencies say they are. My buddy Brokefish says there were 38 earthquakes today in Taiwan. I counted something to the tune of 62 earthquakes earlier today. 62 earthquakes in Taiwan today, earlier.
Location,
Brokefish.
Gulf of California, class light, magnitude 4.2, 15 minutes ago.
Okay, you just heard my earthquake tracker report another 4.2 earthquake in the Gulf of California. In the Gulf of California, what happened there? Let's look at what happened in the Gulf of California. Let me show you this. I think it needs to be said. It needs to be said. And it's not the only earthquake to hit in the Gulf of California. Over here in the northern Gulf, La Mona, Baja California, Folks, guess what? This is a 3.9 4.0 right here. 3.9 4.0 right there. That earthquake happened at 2:12 a.m. this morning in the northern part of the Gulf of California. Already an earthquake of 4.2 today at 7:36 p.m. Eastern Time here in the Gulf of California. There's a 4.2. It's right on top of the San Andreas Fault. That red line that you see there in the Gulf of California is the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault. How is that possible? How's that possible? Let me show you something. I showed this to you the other night. The San Andreas Fault comes up to Northern California. It starts over here in the northern part of California, off the coast, right here. There is one fault that goes north here away from the San Andreas and this Gorda Escarpment right here. This is the Cascadia Subduction Zone right here. It goes from here all the way up to Queen Charlotte Island, British Columbia, Canada. Right here we have the San Andreas Fault. This earthquake fault zone that runs west away from the coast is called the Gorda Escarpment. This is the Gorda Escarpment here. Okay? It meets up with the Cascadia Subduction Zone here in what they call the Triple Junction. The Triple Junction. Today here at the Triple Junction, we have a 2.14 earthquake. 2.14 minor earthquake right there. Closer to shore, near Petrolia, California here, we have a 1.72 tremor.
Downgraded to 4.3 from 4.6. Location Taiwan class flight 19 minutes ago.
So from a 4.6 to a 4.2 in off the coast of Taiwan a few minutes ago. Yeah, they're still downgrading quakes. Unreal. American Mutt says, Ron, do you think it's another PR? Define PR. American Mutt, tell me what you're talking about when you're saying a PR. I'll be happy to answer that question. Demon Catman is saying in the chat here that several million people are suddenly upping and moving to other states to get away from the coast. It's not just earthquakes they're scared of. They're scared of the politicians. They're scared of the politicians saying one thing and then the citizens seeing something else. They're tired of being lied to. They're moving away from California to get away. Going to Texas and Florida and other states around this country to get away from persecution. Diane Kellen says toilet paper runs all over again. Yeah, it does. It does. Anyway, the San Andreas Fault runs all the way up from here and goes south. It goes south along the coast like that. It continues running south over towards San Francisco. There's San Francisco Bay. San Francisco Bay. There just happens to be an earthquake right there on the San Andreas Fault, right at the entrance to San Francisco Bay. It's a 1.16 tremor. 1.16 tremor. This is a second tremor and or earthquake that we've seen here at the entrance to the San Francisco Bay Area. This is very close to the San Francisco Zoo. Very close to the San Francisco Zoo right here. Right there. Unreal. Something else I want to show you though too, before we go south. And this has nothing to do with the San Andreas Fault. Right here. Right there. This is Sonoma, California. 50 plus earthquakes here in the geysers. Sonoma, California. What do we have there? Why are we having so many earthquakes? Typically, we see 25 to 30 earthquakes here every day. There are 50 plus earthquakes here in Sonoma County, California. This is the geysers. It's a geothermal facility where men have drilled into the Clear Lake volcano to the north. Men and women have drilled into this volcano right here, the Clear Lake volcano. They've drilled into the upper magma chambers of that volcano to obtain steam to power turbines over here in Sonoma County. That is why we're seeing 50 plus earthquakes here in the geysers area of Sonoma County, California today. That's why. That's why. Right here. This is one of the geothermal facilities here at the geysers. There are 80 turbines here. 80 turbines. This is just one section of turbines here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 turbines here. You see it here. They take the steam from the volcano to power turbines to generate electricity here for the energy conglomerates here in California and elsewhere. One of the agency conglomerates is Pacific Gas and Electric. One of the others is Rocky Mountain Power that supplies power to the state of Utah. 80 turbines just like this all over the geysers area. That's why we're having so many earthquakes here in the geysers. Energy, seismic energy, is finding each and every one of these drill holes. These drill holes are man-made earthquake faults. The seismic energy hits those faults and fractures the rock inside those holes, causing earth movement. That's why we have 50 earthquakes there today. 50 plus earthquakes here in the geysers today. That's why. 50 plus earthquakes here. Incredible. Literally incredible. I've seen it like this a lot. A lot. Here's another bank of turbines right here. Look at that. There are 10 turbines here. 10 turbines right here. Like I said, there's a total of 80 turbines there in Sonoma County. Diane Kelman is asking a good question. I'm going to give you a good answer. If they know that this is causing earthquakes, why can't they stop them? Diane, the simple answer is this, and I don't mean to sound simplified or to anger you. Every hole that we've dug into the earth, every hole that's ever been dug into the earth turns into an earthquake fault. Every one of them. Every one of them. Every time the hole gets hit by seismic energy, that energy fractures the rock in that hole and causes the earth to shake. We cannot now stop the seismic energy at all. We can't even stop the energy from finding these drill points because the drill points exist now. We cannot fill in the hole. We can't even fill in the hole. It's impossible. It doesn't matter whether that hole is there to pull steam from the volcano or to find oil and gas in the shale rock, as they do in Texas and Oklahoma and Kansas and Nebraska. Once those holes are already in the earth, the seismic energy finds those, fractures the rock in those holes, causing the earth to move, causing earthquakes. That's what's going on. That is what's going on. Jan, UMSC, it's good to see you here as well. I saw Jan for the first time months ago. We appreciate Jan for being here. Thank you for your service, my friend. Thank you for your service. Linda Covington is talking about money and greed. That's exactly what's going on. Those of you that saw the program that starred what's his name? I can't remember his name now. He played the character J.R. Ewing. They made Texas oil look good. That program made Texas oil look good. The United States Geological Survey started off to find oil and gas for the oil and gas companies. That's why we have all those oil and gas drill holes. And it doesn't matter whether those drill holes presently pump out oil and gas or not. There are plenty, and I'm saying plenty, there are plenty of drill points around the world that are no longer producing oil and gas and may also no longer have steam coming from the volcanoes. They may have plugged those holes. However, they did not plug the entire hole. Yes, Larry Hagman. Thank you, Aubrey. Thank you, Captain Upon. I appreciate that. Yes, Larry Hagman. He made oil and gas look good, even though his character was dirty rotten. Now, I'm not going to say all of the oil and gas people are dirty rotten. Yes, some of them are. Some of those people may be dirty rotten. Agreed. Just like some of the people at USGS are dirty rotten. Absolutely. Absolutely are. Incredible. Incredible. Anyway, do you guys have any questions for me? It's already after 8 o'clock. I've been here nearly 2 hours talking with you. I really appreciate talking with you. I appreciate you getting this information. I spent a good majority of today pulling information for you. That's what I do. Making sure you have the adequate information to be able to try to protect you and your families. That's why we're here. To try to make sure you have the information necessary so that you and your families know what to do and when to do it. That you can protect your families for anything that's going to happen. Yes, we're going to have a lot of earthquakes here. We're going to have some very dangerous earthquakes here in the U.S. We're also going to have some very, very dangerous earthquakes hitting all over the world. That's why I'm telling you what is going on. That is exactly why I'm telling you what is happening. Linda Covington saying the alternatives are, there really are not any alternatives except for you to do your own research. For you to do your own research. To find out what's going on around you in your neck of the woods. Do you have all the information? I doubt it. Do you have the scientific information that you need to try to find whether those earthquakes are truly 4.5 or whether they are 6.9 earthquakes? They are. They're usually very much larger than what the agencies are saying they are. That's the other reason we find that USBS tends to downgrade the earthquakes. Heaven forbid they allow us to know the truth of what's happening. You've already heard my earthquake tracker tracking earthquakes tonight, and you're seeing or hearing the downgrades. The downgrades, I know for a fact, are not just because the earthquake is less than they said it was. Rarely is that ever true. Rarely, if ever, is that true. I've caught them in so many lies over the years, it's not funny. Aubrey's asking me now if I'm going to talk about Cascadia on Thursday. Yes, I am. Yes, I will be covering earthquakes in Cascadia area, meaning the Pacific Northwest, from the Canadian border south to Northern California. Apparently, NCWQ Explorer found that people were putting their Cash App up here in the chat. You will be banned. You will be banned from this channel. You won't be able to come here at all. Do not post any websites in our chat room. You will be banned. The only websites that we allow is if you get my permission before this program to put up a website. And I just don't give that permission lightly. We don't allow it. Too many times when people have done that, it's porn. It's trash. So now we just don't allow it at all. Brokefish is also asking everybody, remember to get your supplies ready, everyone. Make sure to get your emergency preparedness supplies ready. Because your day is coming. Your day is coming. I promise you. There's going to be a larger earthquake. There's going to be a more dangerous storm. There's going to be more dangerous political shenanigans happen. Now, I might as well tell you what I found on Saturday. I've been trying to not say a word about this. Johnny Rash is here in the chat, says, buy a can, save one. If you're going to replace something that you've used, buy just one extra can of what you used. That way, you're putting one extra can into your food pantry. One extra can, one extra pouch, one extra package in your food storage. You're going to need it. Diane Kelman says, what do you think of solar generators? I have one right over here from my desk. Right over here from my desk, I have a solar generator. I also have solar panels, so I can grab them and put them outside to power my solar generator to make sure my wife and I have power for our computers, our refrigerator, our lights inside our home when the power goes out. Yes, we're going to have power grid failures coming up very soon. We've already seen a number of power grid failures already during the past 2 weeks. It's going to be worse.
Depth 6.2 miles, 8
Okay? We're going to have power grid failures like we've never seen before. Saturday going into Sunday, the day before yesterday, there were unexplained power grid problems. The dirtbags in government had turned off power grids to police, fire, and paramedic departments. They turned off the power to police departments, fire departments, and medical departments. Turned it off. The 911 system was down throughout different places of the United States for hours. Hours. No explained information at all. The police and sheriff's offices were not able to take calls because nobody was able to call in. The fire departments and medical units were not able to respond to fires or medical events because someone turned off the power. Aubrey says they were without power in South Dakota for over 2 hours. South Dakota is not the only place. I wholeheartedly ask all of you to make sure you have backup power generators. Whether you have a gas-powered power generator or whether you have a solar-powered generator like we have, you need to have it. Things are going to happen. Now, something else happened this past Saturday that I need to speak about. We had an event happen. The United Nations, that we all know, is trying to take over the world. The United Nations,
Location Taiwan, class moderate, magnitude 5.7, depth 6.2 miles.
5.7 earthquake over in Taiwan again. They said it was a mild quake, a moderate quake. It was not. A 5.7 is a dangerous, strong quake. It's called a large quake. It's called a large quake for a reason, no matter whether they term it a moderate or a light earthquake. It's not. Those earthquakes do damage. What I found out Saturday, Arias says the UN would do that. Yes, they would. What I found out Saturday, and all of you who live in the United States need to be aware of it. All of you who live around the world need to be aware of this, because this is also going to happen to you. The United Nations put out mandates that as of July 2025, they are going to take over from our politicians in our countries. The United Nations wants to take over political power. Their document that they had, it was a 4-page document I saw. What they said, they were going to take over power. They were going to appoint representatives to the cities, the states around the United States. They're going to appoint their own UN representatives. They said that they were going to take over the U.S. Supreme Court and appoint their own judges. They said they are also going to take over our cities and states. Our mayors and our governors will no longer be in power and no longer have jobs. They said that every police department, federal, state, local, municipal, law enforcement, police, or sheriff needs to paint over their police vehicles between now and July 2025. in United Nations colors. Every police vehicle must be painted in United Nations baby blue colors by July 2025. All the police will have to have new light blue, baby blue uniforms with UN information on their uniforms by July 2025. Diane Kellman says this is not your right. The document I also saw points out the fact that if we resist, we will be gunned down. If we resist, they have authorization to shoot to kill. That is exactly what the document said. That the United Nations has authority to shoot to kill anybody that resists what they're doing. In the document, they also pointed out that there are millions of other people around the world and here in the United States that have weapons. And they could pose a problem for the takeover of the United Nations. The document also said that the United Nations has authorization to shoot to kill anybody that is resisting. That is the document. It was a 4-page document that I read. And I immediately put it out on several of our messenger pages that I have access to as a result of this very same program, Emergency Management Associates. We have a volcanoes, earthquakes page. We have a politics page. We have a weather page. We have a politics page, a public service page. And I made sure that everyone that is monitoring those threads had access to that UN document. I believe it to be the truth. I have not found anything to refute it. I have not found anything to refute that UN document. The person that sent it to me is very much a well-read person, and I trust them explicitly. They found the document on a Crime Stop page. Not Crime Stoppers, but a Crime Stop page. And within the next couple days, I will give you links to that. I will give you links to that on this program so that you can find that document yourselves. As I said, we may have only 365 days or a little bit longer until the UN comes down hard on the United States. And this may also happen in your own countries. We are an international program here. Emergency Management Associates is an international program. We are seen and viewed by people from around the world. Croatia, Romania, Canada, Switzerland, Germany, Austria, Spain, Portugal, the Canary Islands, Iceland, Canada, the United States, Mexico, Japan, all the countries in Central America, including Costa Rica. My first person in Central America is from Costa Rica that started following my program years ago. Countries in South America also watch this program. Mexico, New Zealand, Australia, Japan. We have even a few people in India that watch this program. Now, I'm going to tell you this right now. Number one, well, before I get into that, please give us thumbs up. If you enjoy this program and you feel that this information is getting to you, that you need to know it, please don't be afraid to share it. Please also give us a thumbs up. That one thing, the thumbs up, gives YouTube the hint that this program is viable, and they should be sharing it with everybody on YouTube. So please, folks, before you leave here tonight, make sure you share this program far and wide. We need that. And everybody else needs it as well. Allegedly, we have 114 people watching us right now. I would hope that would be possibly even more than that. Folks, we need you. We need you to share this program far and wide. Far and wide. I'm not telling you this just to see my lips move. I don't do that. I want you to have this information. Eli Airy says he's got to take off. Have a good night. Please be safe. Please come back and look at this channel for something you may have missed. That's why we're here. Tammy says she doesn't see a button that says like, or thumbs up button. Thumbs up button. Sometimes you don't see it until after you leave this channel, and then when you come back, you'll see it. Brothers and sisters, as I've told you before, I have a testimony of Jesus Christ. I know Jesus Christ to be the Son of God. I know that. During the past 24 hours, I felt God's influence on me to be able to share things with you that you needed to hear, needed to know. Brothers and sisters, I'm asking you to pay attention to what's going on. Linda Covington says she doesn't trust the UN mandate at all. I don't either. I don't trust them, and I will stand up against it. If they try to come and take me, I'm at least going to take a bunch of them out first. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not asking for you to do anything, but to protect yourselves. Protect yourselves, guys. Protect yourselves. Brothers and sisters, I'm going to give you more of a mandate than what I'm telling you now in the coming days. I would ask all of you to share this program far and wide. Everybody needs to hear this program. Please help us to grow this channel. This channel is not just for me. I can see my gums gel any place I want to all day long. This program is for all of you and your families. For everybody. Please share it. Now with what I've talked about. What I've talked about tonight. I want to tell you what Jesus Christ has said. What his apostles have said. Don't trust in uncertain riches. This is coming from 1 Timothy in the 6th chapter. Do not trust in uncertain riches, but in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. Sweet Polly Purebred just gave us a $20 super chat. Thank you so much, Polly. God bless you for that. We need it to keep this program on the air. Thank you so much, Polly. God bless you. God bless you and your family. As it says here in the scriptures, don't trust for riches that are uncertain. Trust in the living God, who giveth us richly all things to enjoy. That they do good, that they're rich in good works, ready to distribute willingly to communicate, laying up in store for themselves a good foundation against the time to come, that they may lay hold on eternal life. What have we been talking about tonight? Making sure we have food to eat and water to drink. Making sure we all are here for each other, that we may lay hold on eternal life. In the second book of Timothy, 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7, God tells us here, for God hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind. He does not give us a spirit of fear, but of power, and of love, and of a sound mind. Brothers and sisters, I would ask that you heed these words from the scriptures. Each and every one of the words from the scriptures. Those words come from God's prophets, God's apostles, directly from God's mouth. Please, please pay attention to what the word tells us. Over in Alma, chapter 7, verse 22. And now, my beloved brethren, I have said these things unto you that I may awaken you to a sense of your duty to God, that ye may walk blameless before him, that ye may walk after the holy order of God, after which ye have been received. And now I would that ye should be humble, and be submissive, and gentle, easy to be entreated, full of patience and long-suffering, being temperate in all things, being diligent in keeping the commandments of God at all times, asking for whatsoever things ye stand in need of, both spiritual and temporal, always returning thanks unto God for whatsoever things ye do receive. And see that ye have faith, hope, and charity, and then ye will always abound in good works. And may the Lord bless you, and keep your garments spotless, that ye may at the last day be brought to sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob and the holy prophets, who have been ever since the world began, having your garments spotless, even as their garments are spotless, in the kingdom of heaven, to go no more out. And now, my beloved brethren, I have spoken these words unto you according to the Spirit, which testifieth in me. And my soul doth exceedingly rejoice, because of the exceeding diligence and heed which ye have given unto my word. And now, may the peace of God rest upon you, and upon your houses and lands, upon your flocks and herds, and all that you possess, your women and children, according to your faith and good works, from this time forth and forever. And thus I have spoken. Amen. Folks, that is one of the Lord's prophets, given guidance to his own brethren. And that guidance also
Class moderate.
comes to us.
5.2. Depth 8.1 miles. 22 minutes ago.
That guidance comes to us as well. Brothers and sisters, let's pay heed to what we've told you. Let's pay heed to the Lord, and the Lord will bless us. Please do that. Please do that. Please, if you haven't seen this entire program, go back and watch it from the beginning. Please share this program with everybody you know, your family, your extended family, your brothers and sisters, everyone, your friends and your neighbors, your social contacts, media contacts, and also the people you work with. Everybody needs to know what we've shared with you tonight. Mohir's Raz says, I heard trumpet today. I hope so. Please, folks, pay attention. In the coming days, we'll give you more and more information that we find out. We love you. We honor you. That's why we're here. May God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. I love you all very much. Have a great night, folks. God bless you. God be with you until we meet again. We will see you on the other side. Good night, everybody. Much love. Thanks, mods, for being here. We love you very much as well. Thank you so much. Good night, all.